Okay, so we got another viewer feature today. So 2 in a row for this.
So
It's another pretty cool one.
this one says, "Hello, Remy and the missus."
Jenny.
Yes, no, it's Sarah. The
Trying to make ephemeral Jenny a thing.
no. The only regret I have being heavily tattooed is not choosing just 1 to 3 artists. This is the result of a 20 to 25 artists. Wow. I'm pretty proud about the back piece, though. Everything seen here is 100% healed between 2 and 8 years, no filter. Side note, that blacked out calf has 8 layers. Wow. My plan is to keep reworking everything I have to keep it fresh, plus some tweaks. Best regards, Seb the Dame?
Yeah, so he's actually sent some stuff before. I think this is either the second or third time I've heard from this fella. I think I've seen the back piece before, and it was done, I believe, by Julian Siebert. Let's see if I can get that up here. I think that's how you say their name, Julian Siebert. It's a pretty famous artist, has a really big Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very known style. Like they do everything this way. And I think we seen this when it was either finished or in some point of progression at that point. And he had the black arm then. I don't know. I think all this like Polynesian tribal-y stuff is newer. But I can't confirm all of that. I'd have to go way back because I think it was years ago that he sent that in originally. But let's talk about this front piece first.
Nice and bright.
Yeah.
Very busy up at the top at the chest there.
Well, it looks like there's a cover up in there.
Okay. Yeah, I
there's
see
definitely
it.
at least one thing covered up in there, and it could be more than that. And you can see here there's clear as day green on black happening when you close up on it, and then there's some other stuff that is going on there in the feathers. I think that this whole thing it's unfinished, and he might not want to hear that because he just said that his plan is to maintain it, but I think the green goes a second time, or at least if it's not a second time, a third time. Could be more than one pass already. And I think all the red in here and the cover up could be done again. Easy upgrades. And all of these feathers that are clear cover ups, you can make that look better, and especially where you're in color already, just solid opaques.
Yeah,
with black.
I agree with that. I think the opaques would look cool in there.
Immediate upgrade, especially like there's quite a bit of gray anyway happening here. So if you do some really hard opaque grays with black, all of a sudden this bird is way better than it is now, and it doesn't look like it's lagging behind the bottom, which is clearly done better, right? Like the skull was done and it's not a cover up.
No, and it's gorgeous.
And then, of course, everywhere that there are feathers, you would carry out the opaque theme. I think when you're dealing with full color tattoos, I don't think that black and gray ever looks amazing with color. I think if you're in full color, I don't think use black and gray at all. I think go to opaques.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Like, I had a friend recently who was just like explaining to me this crazy idea for their like full torso project they want to do, and they were like, oh, part of it's gonna be black and gray and it's gonna meet the color. And I'm like, the minute you put full color, like solid colors next to black and gray,
Your black and gray just kind of disappears.
the black and gray looks weak and washed out next to it, no matter how well it's done. Look at the color in the red and the yellow of that skull next to the black and gray elements. Now the skull is nice. This is not a knock on how that's done, but if that's turned to gray instead, I think the skull is more a part of this concept than he is with the black and gray version, right? I just think it just is, and there'll be people who don't like to hear that, but black and gray should stay black and gray.
Yep.
Maybe a color highlight. When you're in full color, though, black and gray looks very weak and soft next to it. It just is, because color has to be put in solid, right? You can't like wash in your color, right? Or you don't typically want to do that. Whereas with black and gray, you're dancing around and you're doing these little soft things, and it looks weak next to it. There's no two ways around it. But the sizing, I think he figured out as he went with this. I think that the skull was, this may have been done in like the same time, this idea. It's hard to say because like the top of it needs more love, right? Like that, I think the wings still show cover up, and the snake still shows cover up. That doesn't have to be the case, and I know this because everything on me was covered over black, not gray. Right. So that's pretty easy to cover, but I think the sizing of the bird is too small, and the skull is too large as a complement. Right. Like it looks a little out of sync. So it makes me think that the skull was added on after, but that could be false. Like I could be wrong on that. It just doesn't look proportionate in sizing. I understand the perspective of a human skull is going to be bigger than the bird, right? But like as a chess piece, the chess piece doesn't look big enough and doesn't quite work the same way the stomach does for me. But it's really nice. Like you'll have to forgive me whenever things are good. I'm going harder on them, right? Because this guy doesn't mind getting tattooed and wants to continue getting tattooed. So then let's talk about what we can do to make things better, right?
I think like the other thing too is like this guy's skin obviously holds color really well. Like
the grays would look amazing.
Super vibrant. Yeah, I think the opaques in the wings of the feathers of the bird there would be really great.
Well, you'd be adding black too, right?
Yeah.
Sharpen up all the black, add gray, way better. Immediate upgrade.
I think so too.
All the scales in that snake up top are out of line with what's happening on the bottom.
Yeah, and I think a couple more hits, you might be able to bring them as vibrant as the bottom,
even just
for sure.
one more.
Yeah.
Like I've got that's over solid black in there. I don't know if you can see that.
It's seeable, yep. It's quite bright.
Yeah, and that's healed. So, and that's like, you're not needing to do a whole lot to get to a medium green here.
Right.
So it's pretty easily doable, and it will upgrade the entire look. I don't have much to say about the arms because honestly, I hate these things. Like I would commit to full blackouts and all of a sudden like the front and back sing better.
Oh, I agree with that.
I think that's noisy and annoying, but I understand that it's nicely done.
And it's what you present every day. Like not everybody's seeing your chest every day, so maybe he likes like the little bit of interest in his arms.
I very much dislike the geometric stuff, and it's very well understood that I do. So my critique on that is not technical, it's just flavor. I don't like that stuff.
He just wants to see it gone.
It's how busy can I make something and still say nothing?
Right.
That's what geometric is to me. And it's also like very tame. It's like the tamest type of tattoo that there is. It's like completely non-offensive and never raises a concern, you know? It's just almost like background music. So for me, it's like, I want tattoo to be kind of ugly and snarly and vicious and or declarative of something, right? Some kind of loud message. And geometric to me is the softest version of tattooing. So
not loud.
It's not for me. The back piece, I think like I said, I've already seen this. I think obviously an amazing masterclass of tattooing.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
And very few black and gray elements. And because of that, that horn gets to shine. Right. It's very distinct. Everything else in it is color. So it's almost like a highlight, right? Or a low light. It's the heaviest part of the thing. It looks coarse because of the dark black and gray next to all the light, bright colors. And though this is a fairly muted color palette, where there are bright colors really get to shine in this. It's a really simple, boldly told concept, but there is a lot of work in it. Look, the fabric texture is amazing. All of the hair and how it transitions from the hair to the filigree is really, really fucking cool. It looks almost like the filigree is the hair, but then you realize it's not. And the only reason that they all stand apart the way they do is because of the different yellows used. So very deliberate, very cool tattoo. And I love the scale. This is probably the best thing he has, and I think he knows it.
Also, I adore the muted palette.
Oh yeah, when you pull it off. Well, because it works for me because the bright highlights around the perimeter of the filigree and the hair, and what's been done to bring that horn forward.
Yep.
Right? And then the really muted green behind it.
Yep.
Has this thing standing 10 feet away from its background.
It's a beautifully done piece.
Yeah, it's amazing, and everything this artist does is amazing. And then you see the legs, as often is the case, are more of a hodgepodge. And that's okay. They're still pretty good. Like,
yeah, I like this like kind of wavy, swirly one at the front.
I don't think that it will be
it.
any surprise or concern to him that I think the back piece is the star of the show.
Oh, for sure.
Though the front can be.
The front, I think, is really nice. But
Almost as good as the back. Just a little bit of work. Mm-hmm. There's some more that he can do there, and this guy has literally said he wants to continue working on things, so that's why I'm really stressing that. I also think the filigree on his leg is cool, and it makes a nice complement to the rest of the filigree on his back, but I think it's not going to last forever. I think he'll probably black that out. I think it's not unreasonable to assume that there'll probably be quite a bit more black done in time. I think that some of the geometric on his arms is probably going to get blacked out because especially the lighter one is pretty noisy.
Yeah, I feel like this person likes large spaces of black anyways. Like it's kind of incorporated everywhere in their suit so far.
He's already figured out that you can create new images over blackout. Like he said, 8 passes on his calf.
Right.
You were impressed by that. I am kind of impressed by that only because most people don't have this dedication to tattooing. But like that's reasonable to me.
That's why I'm impressed by it. Most people don't have that dedication. I know, like I live with you. You have layers and layers on layers 16, 20, 30, like who knows how many layers there are.
There's parts of me that are over 30 layers, right? So when I hear that, it's not to take away from it. I appreciate that, but that is completely reasonable.
Like in like this small like 1%, less than 1% of people who have like crazy layers. So when someone else is like, I got layers, you're like, hey.
Let me tell you what happens when you figure out that you can do this. Is it unlocks a part of your brain that most people have locked up in this bad logic of once it's done, it's done. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. And this is a cheat code and a superpower for anyone who's disciplined and responsible and driven. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand what any of that means, too. People are like, what do you mean disciplined? All you did was lay there. It's like, oh, no. You do not just lay there for 8 sessions on your calf.
No, that sucks.
You have to keep going. You have to keep showing up, and we already know that most people, they can't even do a few sessions on something.
Right? Yeah. Like, for sure.
We're almost done, right?
When you're in the industry, like you kind of see it.
Trust me, this guy is a unicorn.
Like it's like right away. Well, how many sessions is that going to be? And if you say more than one, like you've already lost their interest.
Anyone who doesn't understand the discipline that goes into this is just an idiot.
Right.
You don't get a vote. It's not, oh, you just laid there. No, you had to save up, you had to show up, you had to sit through, you had to heal, right? And you had to have trust. Mm-hmm. And that right there alone separates you from 95% of the people who wander in here.
Right.
Right? Most people don't have trust. Most people, you show them this idea and you tell them how long it takes, and they fucking vanish. And you know what? We have a lot of people inquiring about it here, and I can tell you that's a fact.
Right.
Right? Because we do it here every day. You're separating the wheat from the chaff with that inquiry, where it's like, oh, just so you know, this could take some time. Guess how many people stop replying after that, right? So this is a unicorn, and I do not take anything away from it. It's just I understand that because I'm so in this, right? It's impossible for me to have the gut reaction that some people will have when they hear 8 passes, because that's rookie numbers in my mind.
Oh, of course.
But it's not in reality.
No.
It's a huge commitment. I like the Roshi a lot. I don't think he belongs, obviously, but he's fucking awesome.
I love him.
I actually like everything he has individually. For the most part, I have no complaints about any of the work that he has, and especially he's part of the club of 20 to 25 artists. I've pegged around 30 artists have worked on me over the years. So I don't think that that's bad. I think it's just like, understand that when you want this to look more uniform, that's still an option for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been working on, right? everything in my first suit looked incredibly scattershot.
It was all over the place.
Right? And then you figure out that you can kind of create a new bodysuit over it, and suddenly it's like I have 2 styles, not fucking 35 styles.
Right. Well, and then your 2 styles that you have going on, you have technically you have the apprentice of the one person working on you. So I mean, there is a little bit of overlap in there. Like, they do things completely differently, but I think that because
the knowledge is similar.
Yeah, the 2 of them, have that little bit of a bond there. Terry can wrap his brain around kind of what Rick's doing.
Yeah. There's the apple fell from the tree, but it's still the same tree that we're working from here.
Right.
But I think with this guy, you see with this calf, when he sends me the next update, I expect to see more of this.
Right.
Right. And I hope that he keeps on to the front piece. But,
and he says he's done, but we got some blank space still. I want to see some blank space filled.
There's no option for done.
Right?
There's no option for done. That's not on the table here at all.
I'm excited to see
and you know how I know it's
spaces get filled up.
I know it's not done is the last time I seen this there was less.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate though is we're not seeing a whole bunch of face tattoos that just got thrown in out of nowhere. Where that's usually the go-to for people these days. When they're wanting to look heavily tattooed, they go right for the face. And I think that that's something you should, always bide your time with and take very seriously. And saying that I have face tattoos, but I still don't want to commit to a full face tattoo, and I've had face tattoos for 14 years.
Right.
So it's a heavy commitment. And he's still in the place where if he wears sleeves and jeans, you don't even know if he's tattooed. I think he should probably commit to a neck and hand tattoos at some point.
Right.
I think that would be a nice addition here.
Depending on occupation, too, there are still some occupations. There are. Few and far between, but there are still some that you cannot have your hands and necks tattooed.
And also, just being a professional and doing a good job at what you're doing, if you have those things, makes it easier for people to get those jobs with tattoos.
For sure.
I know that was the case for my prior employment.
Same with mine.
Now, as I said, and I don't want to keep banging on this drum, but if I have one ask, I really want that green done again in the top of the snake, and I really want those wings with opaques. And this whole thing is immediately better. Immediately better. But
I agree.
Overall, really cool suit he's working on here, and I appreciate the dedication to the craft. It's in rare supply. I say all the time, I wish that I could give every artist at the shop a Remy. I do. I wish, because that checks a box in everyone's schedule weekly.
It does.
Whereas what you have is very transient one-offs and people who are panicking over doing 3 or 4 sessions on a sleeve. So
and then a lot of not shop loyalty right now. I'm finding in our city.
There's not a lot.
People are kind of just drifting from shop to shop,
and you see it in their work. It's all over the place.